Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Buckle Up, an ultra running conversation. It's just Coach Brian here today. No Mandy Mullen. She is out of pocket somewhere running around in Steamboat trying to clean up some cones from the Wild West Relay this past weekend. So I know she's super busy and probably tired as well. It's a 200-mile traverse from Fort Collins, Colorado to Steamboat Springs through Rocky Mountain or through and around through Rocky Mountain National Park. It's a relay race, similar to something like a Ragnar, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I myself have been super busy. July has been insanely fun. I've been outside doing just a ton of stuff. Most recently, last week, I flagged a 14-mile section, the last section of the Summit 200 on a Thursday before going back out on Tuesday to pace a 30-mile section over the high point for two athletes I work with, Lisa Murray and Renee. They were successful in finishing the Summit 200 after last year being unsuccessful. So kudos to them. Shout out to those guys for finishing up what they started. Huge challenge, and they got it done. This afternoon's guest is Jonathan Levitt. He is he's a deal maker. He's making it happen in the ultra running community, and he's given us products and brands and aligning them together in formats to for everyone to benefit from. So it's a great conversation. Just got off the call with him, and thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, listen, follow, subscribe, and share it across the boards. If you have a guest you'd like us to talk to, give us a shout back. You can reach me on all my socials: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Hey, Jonathan, thanks for coming on the show this morning and taking some time out of the beginning of the week, right? We're hitting Monday morning here, fresh up with some coffee. You got your coffee going? I'm just down in mine right now.
I'm one cup in. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I am one cup on, but I think I'm a little bit ahead of the game because I just got back from high school cross country practice. We had like 5 kids show up, and I was running a little late for that, so I ran with them, and now I'm into my first cup of coffee. So you might be a little bit ahead of me on that game.
There we go. I'm off to Scratch Cafe next for a lovely Americano and a meeting with Chris Lee over there. So I'll be on to cup 2 soon.
I know Chris Lee. Gosh, what is he up to? He's
kinesis.
Got like a strength training, a kinesiology type of system going on. Yeah, I've talked with him months ago. Yeah, it's a small community apparently because I know him as well. Yeah, I've talked with him.
He's awesome.
And then he set me up with, I guess there was another connection for Zipper. I don't know if you heard of that, but it's an app. Anyway, I use it for my business side for coaching. Jonathan, I just asked you this question before we recorded, but I'm going to go for it again anyway. We know each other from LinkedIn, and we barely know each other, so it's nice to meet you virtually here. But you're a podcast host and a founder. You're connecting athletes with brands and advising early seed stage brands in outdoor industry. Can you reiterate all that I asked you in the first question again so that we could get it on recording? Because it was a great answer and a good segue into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, my grandma asked me what I'm doing for work now, and it was really hard to explain what it was.
I can only imagine.
It's like, what? Podcast? So I spent 10 and a half years at Inside Tracker, personalized nutrition through blood analysis, joined in 2014, very early stage. There were 8 people at the company at the time. The market wasn't quite ready for us, but we really grew up in the outdoor space, specifically in trail running. So my whole background is marketing and sales within the outdoor industry or with people who care about their health and performance, whether they care about their health because they want to live till they're 100 or whether they care about their health because they want to feel vibrant today, tomorrow, and the next decade. I love helping people achieve those types of things and giving them the tools to do it and the motivation to enable that to happen. What do I do for work? So I quit my job in June after the many years of coaching and instigation from friends in doing so and family. Shout out to my dad. And so I host For the Long Run. I've been doing it for 6 years. It's a podcast aimed at exploring the why. I'm almost 400 episodes in. I also host a second podcast called Long Run Labs. It's telling the stories of those building in the outdoor industries, people who are marketers, founders, executives at brands in the outdoor space. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know why they care about the industry. I want to know why they care about the sport. And then I want to do a deep dive, kind of like a how I built this, or, what can I learn about brand marketing? What can I learn about athlete sponsorship? That kind of thing. Because that's not enough, obviously. I am building a podcast collective where I can sell ads and partnerships for 14 podcasts that represent almost 300,000 downloads a month. So, more than 3 million a year. The idea there is that at some point, the large non-running brands will identify that the audience of runners is who they want to speak to. And they're not going to speak to them about running. They're just going to speak to them about humans, right? So 60% of this audience is female. It skews millennial. It skews high household income. It skews well-educated. Basically, the ideal buying persona for any product or service in America is represented by the majority of this audience. So if you are United Airlines, if you are Audi, if you are Rivian, if you are somebody who wants to market to people who are, again, representing the largest buying persona in the country, this audience is for you. And you don't need to talk to them about running. So next, I'm also building an a community for early stage founders and entrepreneurs, people who are in the 100K to $1 million range of annual revenue. We're calling it The Huddle. You can find it at findmyhuddle.com. And so basically a cohort-based approach to help people grow and scale. Again, because that's not enough, I'm also advising some early stage brands and consulting for a company called Eternal. Eternal is healthcare for athletes. You may have heard about their program on ads from the Your Diet Sucks podcast. I know you know Zoe. And yeah, the goal there is help people do what they love for longer, live harder, longer, and really give people a team of experts in their back pocket to understand how do I make better decisions about my health so that I can be a lifelong athlete, specifically a runner, built by people who are actually out there doing it as well. I think that covers all of the stuff that I'm doing.
Did you get that, Grandma? Did you get all that?
Yeah, I got to run that into ChatGPT and ask for a summary for my 90-year-old grandma who has a dumb phone.
That's right. Well, you're even though you quit your job, you seem to be pretty busy. So that's a lot.
Yes.
But it seems like the outdoor space, the endurance community seems to be the hub and the connector of it all. How did you get into this space? Generally speaking, how did you get into the outdoor endurance space?
Yeah, I kind of backed into it. My first job out of school, I got an internship in Boston with a company that was selling spirulina and chlorella algae, the most nutritionally dense food that exists in pill form. And runners gravitated towards it because it was so nutritionally dense.
What was the name of it? Can you say that? I don't even know.
Energy Bits.
Because I remember reading about it a while ago, and
yeah.
There was a couple different brands out there. But anyway,
yeah. So again, we were very early, too early, 10 years too early. But company's still around today, and I was growing a brand ambassador program before brand ambassador programs were a thing. And most of our ambassadors were runners. And this was around the time of the Boston Marathon bombing, so I felt compelled to go for a run. I ran my first half marathon, and then I was like, hey, all of our customers are runners and marathoners. Like, maybe I should do marathon and figure this thing out. And I dove right in, and I fell off the deep end, and here we are 12 years later, 13 years later, and like my whole career is running. And I just got back from TrailCon a few weeks ago out in Tahoe, where the state of affairs, or the state of the union of trail, it's a very exciting time to be in trail. It's a very exciting time to have bet my mortgage and livelihood on the fact that this is a growing industry and a good place to place, most of my bets.
Yeah, the trail community I started here in about 2009 to 2010, and gosh, it's exponentially grown 300% year over year, it seems like. And it's great. It's great for the sport. It's still new. It's still fresh. I mean, it's old in some ways, but when you think of traditional soccer or European football or cycling. I mean, there's hundreds of years of history there, as
For
opposed to
sure.
maybe 2, 3, 4 decades worth of trail running.
Definitely.
You recently just participated here in the Roaring Fork Valley and the Aspen Backcountry Heavy Half, I want to say it was, right? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
It was awesome. First time lining up on the same start line as my coach, David Roche, so that was fun.
All
He
right.
and Megan both took the win.
I was going to say, I thought he took the win, but you didn't hang with him for a bit?
It was incredible. I was also running, and my first mile was, I don't know, 7:15. And he was gone immediately. Like gone. It was wild.
Yeah, there's some footage out there. I did see some footage. I think somebody was either on a bike or like a sprinter was out there getting some of the starting line footage through the.
Jamil was running hard. Yeah.
Oh, that's who it was. It was Jamil. That's right. It was Jamil, because I heard Megan say she loved Jamil. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's like my neck of the woods. I do remember, we talked about it offline as well. I do remember when City of Aspen owned it. It does seem like Aravipa's reviving this and bringing it back to some life as the city struggled with it. I don't think it was their cup of tea, but they sure tried.
I don't think the city wanted to operate it, but they wanted to benefit from it. There were 180 people who raced this year. There was definitely room for more. They instituted a 50K that Jeff Colt put together, fellow Carbondale resident. And Jeff put together an amazing course with that 50K, and he was the finish line MC, welcoming people back in. And yeah, Jamil and Aravipa did a fantastic job. It was one of the most well-marked courses I'd ever seen. There were obviously there were three different races: the half, the marathon, and the full, and the 50K. And their course markings were different colors, so there was a green sign for the half marathon, and you could always remember because it was the same color as your bib. And they had signs that said "critical turn ahead," and so it was like very well done from start to finish. The aid station volunteers were fantastic, and it was just a super cool environment. And it was attached to like a little festival fair thing at the Rio Grande park. And so there were food trucks, there were hundreds of people there, and there was a duck race, which I'm sure you've heard of. They like dumped a dump truck full of ducks, little plastic ducks into the river, and they floated down, and it was like a huge fundraiser. It was more ducks than I've ever seen in my life. It was just super cool, well done. Aspen's a weird place, very fun people watching happening in Aspen. I had post-race sushi for the first time, which tracks with having a race in Aspen. And really,
was it a sushi truck?
Yeah, it was a sushi truck
That sushi truck was just at Mountain Fair, which is Carbondale's weekend festival, and I was questioning, gosh, I don't think I should take sushi from a truck, but you survived it, right?
I survived it.
Good?
Yeah, it was what I would expect from a sushi truck. The fish was great.
Okay.
And I mean, I was like, I finished the race. I was like, this is exactly what I want right now, and it was perfect.
Well, that's great. Jonathan, you talked about what you do. Maybe we should talk about what you don't do. It might have been easier, but where do you see some of the trends going in the sport in the next 3 to 5 years, if you were to forecast anything at all? What do you think some of the new trends are going to be? What are we looking at? I mean, I think we're kind of over the plated shoes, or not over it, but that's kind of like, now it's standard technology, almost standard technology. But where are we going in the future with trail running?
I think that technology will continue to evolve in the space. People will implement more things that enable them to be smarter about their training and fueling, and the products and the things we put on our body or feet will help us move faster and more efficiently with less injury. I think we're going to continue to see this high carb revolution sticking around. We may see some resettling where it's 90 grams and not 130. I think other components that go into training will, like, we're gonna see not like a renaissance, but like a return to the basics. Like, if you want to be healthy, you have to eat, sleep, and move. And I think a lot of people have overcomplicated things quite a lot. So we may see some regression with this complication component. I think we're going to continue to see the professionalization of the sport. It's going to be possible for professional trail runners to make a living in the sport, similar to the reason why I structured that ad network. Big brands are going to identify that this is an interesting space to play in. You look at how Rivian is sponsoring Kate Courtney, a professional mountain biker, in a meaningful way. Rivian is an electric vehicle that costs $90,000, and for some reason they've decided that runners are the ideal, or endurance athletes or mountain bikers are a great demographic. They're right about that. People care about the environment. They care about doing things that make them feel good about doing things, and EVs and solar are a place where it's a signal like, hey, I give a shit and I have the money to show that I give a shit. And I think we're going to see more of that, which is good and necessary. I did a podcast with Aaron, the CEO of Protect Our Winners, on this big problem we have where we need to change our reliance, our energy dependence. I think there will be the downside, or the negative thing that we'll see is we'll see hotter races. We're going to see less participation in road racing in the summers because it's simply too much of a risk to sign up for a road marathon in September or June or May. And I think that the participation numbers will continue to improve. They're going up. It's 8% year over year, whereas road running is somewhat flat, if not going down. This is often measured in spending, and the cost for products has gone up, and the unit price, or the SKU amount has gone down. So people are like spending more on less stuff because of all sorts of different variables, namely tariffs and other components that go into pricing and supply chain. So I think that we're going to see both a consolidation and anyone can start a business now. It's like the ability to get something off the ground has never been easier, and innovation is happening at such high speeds these days that I've received like 6 different running vests to try from PR companies in the last 2 months. So it's like everyone has a running vest, everyone has a pair of shoes, there are so many products being created, and that's both exciting and like fuels this consumption obsession that we have. I've had the same Nathan vest for 12 years, and to me that's sustainability. It's not replacing something every year. So I think we're going to see more efforts around like building really high quality products that last, instead of needing that are just expensive and need to be replaced constantly. And then the like fashion component of the sport. Like look at a brand like Satisfy. Like, I personally wouldn't wear that, but for some reason people choose to spend $150 on a single item of clothing that they either run in or do leisurely things in. So yeah, we'll continue to see that intersection of athletics and leisure. I guess Lululemon grabbed the athleisure category decades ago, but yeah, stuff like that. Continued innovation, more and smarter technology, and skyrocketing participation rates, particularly in trail.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's, I think we used to joke, I'm old enough to have joked that running was just buying a pair of shoes and getting out and started running, but it is so much more involved than that nowadays. It is the wearables, it's the gear, it's the clothing, it's the hat choice, it's the location that you're in, what kind of trail shoes you're going to get. It's going to be muddy or dry or road, or all the factors, right?
Yep. And also all of the media behind it, right? Everybody has a podcast now. Both of us have podcasts, and podcasting as a medium has exploded in popularity. When I launched mine in 2019, I thought I was late. Now, somebody joked with me. They were like, "Do you find this explosion of podcasting to be a problem, or are you just going to scoop them all up into your network and grow it that way?" And no, I don't think. I think the fact that there's no barrier to entry is fine. I think that it sort of muddies the professionalism of people who are doing it to put food on their table versus who just enjoy doing it and do some brand partnerships here or there. And so again, part of my focus with building this network or this collective is like the floor is as low as the lowest person who sets it, right? So I will not tolerate people just giving free advertising for a pair of socks, or like bottom of the bin pricing for ads. And so I'd rather have control over in aggregate what the floor looks like and bring the floor up, because 5 years ago it was okay to say, oh, we're testing out podcasting, so we're allocating a few dollars, and people will take a risk on us and this and that. And now it's like, no, this is a channel that works. People trust podcast hosts, and it's not charity. Like, you have built an audience, the audience trusts you, and that must be protected. And so I don't want to see people just like giving away sponsorship in exchange for a $20 product that you purchase twice a year. And so yeah, part of my goal with building that network is to support the professionalism of where it's trending, and that the fact that it's become a real and meaningful marketing channel, and then protect the audience, right? Like, ultimately, none of this matters if the audience doesn't trust the host. And so continuing to focus on the integrity of that relationship and building a real trusting relationship where, the saying is, trust is built in droplets and lost in buckets, right? All it takes is one shitty deal where you've sacrificed your morals because the paycheck is large. And that's something I need to remind myself now, that it's like how I put food on my table and pay my mortgage and all this stuff, that like I must remain focused on sharing products and brands and services that I believe in, versus like, $1,000 an episode. Yeah, it sounds great. Sign me up.
It's so true. Years ago, I ran for I got a cheap shoe deal, and I wore these shoes, and I couldn't wear them. And so I would go run with my friends, and I would tell them, like, don't take pictures of my feet in your pictures and put them on social media, because I'm supposed to be wearing these shoes. And I'd wear them for like the first few miles of a race and then change it in the shoes that I wanted to wear. And I just realized, like, instantly, I was like, this isn't working. And I just need to align with brands that work with me, like for my needs and what like I want to wear. So the shoes that I were wearing on the side secretively, I reached out to them and I was like, hey, you guys want to work together somehow? And it worked out in the long run. But it was a quick lesson on, aligning myself with products that work the best for me. And to go back to the podcast thing, I'm a newer podcaster. Well, I think I've been at it maybe a year and a half or so, which I feel still new at. But I think there's also a correlation to coaches. I think everyone's a coach now too. And I've been coaching for a number of years. I coach full time. That's all I do. I coach high school sports, and then I coach Darren's athletes online. And that's my main source of income. And I feel like that's the same. Your description, your alignment can be placed on both of those entities, podcasting and coaching, where we kind of need to make sure that the bottom of the barrel isn't just destroying the upper echelon of it.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, and like I encouraged my coach, David, to increase his prices when it was $110 a month a few years ago, because like he was setting the floor effectively. I was like, your coaching is more valuable than $110 a month. And some of it is accessibility and this and that. But again, like if other runners are going to other coaches and they're saying, well, one of the best coaches in the sport is charging this, you can't charge more than that, right? Then it muddies it for everyone. And so he did increase his prices, and he should do it again. But I'm taken.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for the space. I think those are all great things. I love that we're growing as a community, though, and I think we're growing and learning. We're growing fast, but I think it's also steady enough that we're sort of micromanaging as it's coming. It's not over the top just yet. The wave isn't crashing over us yet. We're still building this nice wave set to get up onto that surfboard.
Definitely.
What else do you have going on this summer, Jonathan? Do you have any other races planned on the calendar?
Yeah, I'm going to Leadville. I may do some pacing, and then I'm doing Grand Traverse in 4 weeks, something like that. That'll be my second longest run ever. So I'm excited and nervous for that. This past weekend in Aspen was a great little training stimulus at a higher altitude. I got in about 18 miles of running on Saturday, and yeah, got to go more than twice as far on August 30th. So yeah, feeling pretty wrecked today. My quads are very sore, appropriately so. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then Boulderthon later in September here in Boulder. I'm on the board of that race. I've been working with them closely for a couple of years now in bringing that to more runners and building the relationship that we both have with Puma. It was really fun this past weekend that a number of people said to me like, oh, are those Puma trail shoes? And they're awesome. The Puma Deviate Elite Trail is a fantastic and fast trail shoe with the plate.
Right.
So I'll be wearing that for Grand Traverse. But yeah, the goal will be I started the year doing Black Canyon, did the 50K, and I've had a bit of a hip injury like May and June. And so I'm just getting back to normal mileage now. I'll do a peak week this week and build up some good mileage ahead of Grand Traverse.
And the Grand Traverse, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's a 2-person event, right? You have to have a partner?
The ski is a 2-person event. The run is just 40 miles from Crested Butte to Aspen.
Just go, solo. I mean, just you and your bib, and that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. I didn't know if you had to have a partner. I was going to ask about the partner deal on that, but I do recall it again. And do you run from Aspen to Crested Butte or vice versa?
Crested Butte to Aspen. The bike is Aspen to Crested Butte.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of racing in the Roaring Fork Valley that is sort of still kind of low key, but man, I think that that Aspen backcountry that you just participated in, I think that's going to blow up and be huge on the Aravaipa calendar, especially if Jamil's showing up and the Roaring Fork Valley's just coming out in droves to help out. And gosh, I'll try to get out there next year and at least help out and volunteer somewhere along the course because it's basically my backyard. Yeah,
if I could buy stock in any race, it would be that one. That buy low. They're gonna soar. It was such a well organized experience. They have some logistics to figure out because we got to park in a parking garage right across from the park, but it was full just from the 180 runners. So like the parking component would be the largest challenge of doubling or tripling the number of runners, and also the accommodations. Like it's really expensive to stay in Aspen, so we stayed in Basalt, but you can stay in Snowmass or whatever. But yeah, it was super cool to be a part of that.
But even Basalt's not cheap. And other races that I've participated in Aspen, they'll work with the local bus company called RAFTA, Roaring Fork Transit Authority, and you park in a shuttle lot farther away.
Oh, cool.
And your bus's fee is waived for the afternoon or for the event, basically. So you don't have to buy a bus pass and have all this extra money on a bus pass that you're probably not going to use too often. So logistically, they could figure it out pretty handily. Aspen's always had that problem with parking. Space is money, and cars aren't that big of a concern.
Just fly the PJs in and land at the Aspen airport like everybody else in Aspen does.
Yeah, that Aspen airport's got some nice planes on that runway when you get up above Sky Mountain there and look down into it. And are you pacing anyone in particular at Leadville, or are you just going to hang out, or what?
No, I may do the angel pacing thing.
Okay.
I paced TJ from Microcosm and Carbondale a couple of years ago, and that was super fun. From Outward Bound to Mayqueen, and yeah, I just love that course. I love Leadville. I have my girlfriend's cousin has a place in Leadville, so we go there quite a bit. Yeah, it's just super fun to be up there in the summer and the winter. It's just really cold in the winter.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's an interesting story. I digress for a second, but I first showed up in Leadville in 2006. I ran what was the Leadville Marathon Snowshoe Race. We started at the bottom of Turquoise Lake and ran around the lake on snowshoes on a groomed trail. And it was it had gotten warm and then cold again, which isn't the norm for Leadville, but it was that year. So within a half a mile, all of our feet were sopping wet because there was slush underneath of the snow.
Yikes.
So for another 6 hours on snowshoes, which isn't a fast marathon at all, we're just running around with wet feet, and you're basically just trying to move to keep your feet warm. So
wow,
but I will be at Leadville as well.
Oh, cool.
I'm wearing my new hat. It's the hashtag 10, and it's got the logo Leadville profile on it. I'll be going for my 10th Leadville Trail 100 finish.
Cool.
This year. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Why Leadville? What do you love about Leadville? You've clearly done it 9 times.
I get this question a lot, and it's pretty simple. Initially, it was ease and convenience. I live about an hour and a half from Leadville. It was close to home. I read Born to Run in 2009, and I thought, gosh, I'll just mail Ken and Mary Lee my check. And they took it in 2010 and mailed me back a letter. So before lotteries, before all the huge blow up of lottery systems and all that kind of stuff, I mailed a check to their P.O. box, and they mailed me back an acceptance letter. And I showed up in 2010 just completely naive to the whole idea of what was going on up there. I did run the 50 prior at Leadville, the Silver Rush 50, as a training run 6 weeks before the 100. So I did. That was my second time in Leadville besides the marathon. So now my third time was this 100. We were starting a family. We have a young family. Now my daughter's 14 and 10. And so, we're getting up there in age and we could, venture out a little bit more. But it was easy convenience initially. Lotteries were still tough to get into, but I did Leadman a couple times because the other question I get is, how did you get in so many times because of the lottery system? The first few lotteries were pretty simple. And then when I didn't get in, I bypassed it by doing Leadman and 2 other times I've gotten golden coins from participating in the shorter races. So I just love the community, but initially it was because of easy convenience, but the community just grows on you up there at Leadville. It is alive and active, and even Leadville in the last 16, 17 years is grown a bit too. And I think in a good way. They started to see outside resources. They started to realize that the race series does bring on a lot of revenue and money and people, and those dollars go to everything that community needs, quite honestly, especially because they have such a dry winter or dry financial winter, basically.
Yeah, they have 3,000 residents, and in the summer it's basically 9,000 every single week. And so I do some work with the tourism board, and so their ability to sustain rent throughout the year and pay their staff in the restaurants and the service industry and whatnot, it's basically all sustained through what they're able to do between June and September. So it's a really important, and it like you said, they got to a point where they're like, we actually need this race as much as the race needs us. And so it's this wonderful, mutually beneficial relationship for those that realize it, that it's just symbiotic. And yeah, it comes back to the community aspect of it.
It's also obviously, iconic. It's one of the 5 oldest in the States. Started in 1983. It has that good feel-good story. Yeah, that good feel-good story about the hard rocker trying to get through the wall and the Millennium Mine and shutting down and, just finding another way to do something hard and grit. You're right. The course, I've seen it a lot, obviously, and it's still challenging. I think the cutoffs are the most challenging aspect of it for me personally right now. The course is fairly runnable in most sections, and then you got Hope Pass back and forth, which is just, a challenging power hike. But I do live in the mountains here, so I do get up over 12.6 pretty often. I was just over 12.6 pacing at the Summit 200 this past week. I went up to 12.8, cool. Almost 13,000, just in a pacing section of a 30-mile section over the high point of the Summit 200. And then
Where did that one go?
The Summit 200 is a great race. Actually, it's on my radar for next year.
Yeah,
already.
I've helped out
twice, right? Now. It's based out of Copper Mountain, start and finish parking lot, and you run around through Keystone, Montezuma, Breckenridge, and just kind of whittle back and forth all around. There's a couple loops or out and backs as well, so it's not like a continuous loop. But I don't think any of it feels repetitive, even if you are passing it in the opposite direction. It's even that change of day or just seeing it in the opposite direction doesn't feel that repetitive for whatever reason. Yeah, super cool race. Jonathan, I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us some updates as to what you're doing. What are some of the podcasts that we should check out that are inside of your network?
Yeah, so working with the Boulder Boys podcast, we did a partnership with Intrepid Camp Gear. So they make rooftop tents. The Boulder Boys did a fun group run last Thursday, and then a live podcast with pizza. I'm working with Distance to Empty, which is Kevin Goldberg, and the focus on 200 plus. I'm working with Run to the Finish or Tread Lightly with Amanda Brooks, Laura Norris. Working with D3 Glory Days, so Over the Track with Stu and Noah Drawdy. Your Diet Sucks with Zoe and Kylie. And yeah, a handful of others. Running Explain podcast, which is a pretty big one. Yeah, having fun with it. And yeah, if you're a brand listening, let's chat. But it's been fun working with that. We did a 4-podcast deal with Tailwind. So working with Amanda Brooks, Matt Chittum for the Rambling Runner podcast, Lindsay Hine for I'll Have Another, and my podcast. So that launched at the beginning of August. And yeah, it's just been fun, like putting this together and getting to know these podcasters a little bit more. And it's always nice putting a nice check in somebody's pocket as well for coming from a brand that they like.
Yeah, it's a great resource. That sounds like a great It sounds like a great fit for everybody involved, and I think that's really lifting everybody up. Rising tides lifts all ships, and so
Exactly.
everyone's getting a step up with it. So that sounds like a perfect fit for all
For
involved.
sure.
Jonathan, we appreciate your time. Where can we find you on social? I know I'm connected to you on LinkedIn, but where else can we find you on socials?
Yeah, I love LinkedIn. JW Levitt on Instagram, and then For the Long Run podcast and Long Run Labs if you're interested in the business side of the sport.
Sounds great. I'll be tuning in for sure. I appreciate you chatting with us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and enjoy that latte at the Scratch Labs.
Sounds good. I'll tell Chris you say hello.
Take care.